Welcome to Retire Hour, the weekly show discussing income planning, investing, tax planning, estate planning, and Medicare. Complete retirement education. Hear from our financial advisors, CPA, estate planning attorney, and Medicare advisor every week. This is Retire Hour.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into Retire Hour, the weekly show that helps you stay up to date on the ever-changing landscape of retirement. You know, and we've got a full show for you this week. Actually, we've got a listener questions episode. Now, we've taken these questions from you guys that have either called in and submitted your questions by phone, by email, on the website, and also the home shows that we've done in Kansas City area and also the Wichita, Kansas area. And we love meeting you guys out there at the different shows. Look for us at the next home show or trade show that you guys are out there at whether it's the Overland Park Convention Center or the Expo Hall in Wichita, Kansas. There's a lot of booths out there. We always have a swag booth set up to give you some great swag if you submit some questions to be used on the show. And we've got Larry Clefcorn here, an advisor with Market Advisory Group Wichita. And we've got a question that you actually said this is a scenario that just happened the other day to you, right?
Yes, the question.
And so Roberta L., and I appreciate the question, Roberta, she asks, how much money do I need to have on hand to live out my retirement? And you said you kind of missed a word when you first read this.
When first time I looked at it, I thought it was just that question that we hear all the time: how much money do I need to retire? You know, and but I looked at it more closely and realized that have on hand is what's actually the question. And yes, I just recently had this conversation, and the conversation, was just, well, I think they knew we were having a administration change. Mm-hmm. I think that's what brought it up.
Kind of thinking, changing the government, they kind of reevaluated some things.
Yeah, and so my answer to them was this: it depends. First of all, you should always have 3 to 6 months.
I agree.
Emergency cash. Okay, so that's assuming you do. Then it depends on how much volatility you think there is in the market. Mm-hmm. Now, I guess the question I was asked was slightly different, and that was, how much should I have safe on hand?
Oh, okay.
Safe on hand. Okay. So if you're thinking of it that way, then, and you think that we're going to have some increased volatility, you're going to want more safe on hand. If you're thinking that this could be the start of a new bull market, probably less on hand and more invested.
But really staying with that 6 months to minimum as far as your household expenses. Absolutely. You don't really want to push that, do you?
No.
I mean, that's to help you whether if you're working and you have a temporary blip in your work employment, so you may change job, injured, health events,
surgery,
all the different things that can then happen out there. If you go to a credit card, that's not going to be ideal. Or if you have to go into debt in those situations, or take a loan from the 401k, even worse yet.
Yes, right? So don't do that.
So having on hand, we're at least kind of recommending 6 months, three on a bare minimum.
Yes.
6 months is more ideal.
Yes. And when we say on hand, what that means is have it where you can get to it quickly. So probably at your bank. I do know people who actually bury money in the backyard.
Well, hopefully not too many.
I know a lady that says my husband doesn't know.
Oh my gosh.
That I bury money in the backyard. I'm serious.
I keep telling the team we need to have an episode where it's the other person on the other chair has to decide, is the story fact or fiction?
Yeah, no kidding.
Because do you remember the psychic gal that she ran out of money? And it's like, is that even, that sounds like a bad joke.
Yeah.
But she was a psychic and she ran out of money. I guess she didn't see that coming. That's terrible. But all these different really weird scenarios. Someone buries money in their backyard?
Yeah, I'm very serious. And yeah. So, we have all the other things that people say, about under the mattress.
Oh, yeah. In the freezer or whatever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say you need to have 6 months physically on hand.
No.
I mean, like at a bank or a credit union, somewhere you can go into town, write a check, access it from ATM, do whatever. But yeah, you don't want 6 months of your income under your mattress.
No.
Or 6 months of your expenses.
In fact, it's less secure there.
Or, yeah, even worse. I had a client, my first client, his family had money in mason jars in the cellar, but the bills molded. And they actually had to turn in the currency to the Federal Reserve based on the serial numbers just to figure out what the denomination was of the bills.
Oh, my gosh.
They didn't even remember what it was. So not really good to have. I'd say it's good to have cash, some cash on hand though, right? I mean, you want some cash,
wrong with that. Sure.
But not 6 months.
Right.
But that's what you need, probably easily accessible there at the bank. Roberta, great question there.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you do have those cushions to weather the unexpected, whether it's in life or retirement. And if you have questions for this team, you can reach out to us at 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833, the letters MAG for Market Advisory Group Report. That stands for our retirement evaluation process, other risks and taxes. We talk about this on our one-on-one appointments, but maybe you just have a couple questions. We'd love to schedule a 15-minute phone call with you by phone. Just blah, blah, blah. Well, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more right after this.
Are you worried about your retirement? Do you have an entire team looking out for your investments, taxes, estate plans, and healthcare? At Market Advisory Group, we have professionals in all 4 areas available to give you the help you need for your future. Find out why our team approach can give you confidence in your plan moving forward with a free consultation. Call 833-MAG-PLAN. That's 833-MAG-PLAN. Or visit marketadvisorygroup.com. Market Advisory Group. Invested in you.
Welcome back into Retire Hour, the weekly show that helps you stay up to date on the ever-changing landscape of retirement. And just to give everyone a preview out there, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Right? Did you have a good
Happy
Thanksgiving?
holidays.
Happy holidays. Get out here. Anyways, got Rick Everett here, a rare treat. I don't get to normally interview you a whole lot. You're normally interviewing me on your show on Ion Retirement.
Indeed, yes. A little role reversal here.
So we've got a listener question episode this week, and you have a question here from Stephanie B. And the question is the best way to invest for people over 50. And then she also goes single woman ? I think we know what she's saying there. She's asking for maybe what would be a good way for her to invest. And she's single and she's over 50.
Well, Stephanie, thank you for the question, number one. Number two, that's a loaded question, a very loaded question. And I guess it goes back to why we have the whole MAG report process in place.
It does.
It seems like a simple enough question to answer. I'm single, I'm over 50. What's the best route for me to go? But there are so many variables that can come into play in trying to make the proper determination for Stephanie.
Well, and even you're so correct. Even when we go through the risk portion of the MAG report process, when I think you've heard me talk about it as how hot do you like your salsa? Mm-hmm. And when someone says they're conservative, they're moderate, they're aggressive, we don't have just, well, then here's your conservative funds, here's your moderate funds. We use a process that we measure the risk. And back to that salsa analogy again, it's the fact where, how hot is hot? And hot's relative, or how aggressive is aggressive. That's all relative. So we have a way that we quantify with that and walk through people. But just to say what's a good investment for someone over 50, that's not probably a fiduciary approach.
It is definitely not a fiduciary approach, and we do things differently here. And in the simplest of terms, a fiduciary approach, the approach that we not only utilize, but we're bound to by our licensure, is that we're always putting the client's best interest first. So for somebody to come in and say, I'm single, I'm over 50, what's the best way for me to invest? Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because are we looking at a strategy of you're just wanting to get in and out of the market? Because that's not really what we do here. We're planning for the rest of your life when we're planning. And we're not just planning how to invest, but we're looking at what is the necessity for income stream down the road? How is Social Security going to play into that?
And what are their income needs?
Exactly.
And you look at all these different things, and so many people will just show up and say, I say so many people, you have the odd individual that comes in and says, well, I'm 65, I'm retiring today. Start my Social Security, start my Medicare. And it's like, well, we need to take a look at this, and we need to see, you're exactly right. What are your expenses? What's your longevity? What's your Social Security benefit going to be? How much is it going to take to run, how much dollars is it going to take to run your household on a monthly basis? Then we reverse engineer with all those information what the plan needs to be. Then when that's also we factor in their risk tolerance and look at this all in an objective way. But I mean, if she's just looking for stock picks, that's not probably what we're
probably not a good fit.
And that's okay. I mean, we want to help people that have questions. And, Stephanie has this question, what's the best way to invest over 50? On its face value, that's too broad of a question.
It's not a one size fits all.
That's a good way to say that. That is a good way to say that. That it's not a one size fits all. It's not a cookie cutter approach. And if Stephanie would want to come in and go through this MAG report process, she could get this comprehensive team approach looking at her situation. Because truthfully, there may be so many things going on in her situation that the investments, that might be her chief kind of pain, if you will, her concern. But there may be glaring tax issues that need to be addressed before anyone goes after the investments.
A lot of underlying things that the investment portion of a person's retirement planning is just one component. How are things set up with your estate plan?
Oh, and many times people don't even have one.
Exactly. And who's helping you with tax planning right now? Oh, I go to H&R Block. No, I didn't say your tax preparation. Who's helping you plan? Because in retirement, Matt, you know this, I'm singing to the choir here, but the rules all change as it pertains to taxes when you go into retirement.
Well, if you're singing to the choir, I like your tune because you're right. Whether I had someone in my class this past week, she goes, I've been to your class before we knew who the president was going to be, and I've been to your class after now we know who the president's going to be. She goes, you still are preaching tax planning. She goes, your message hasn't changed. And she thought that was smart because she goes, President Trump's only going to be the president for 4 years.
Right.
And you don't know, the whole government could change again. Democrats could come back in and raise taxes. And if you have all these untaxed dollars in your retirement accounts, it's going to be a liability.
Absolutely.
If not now, for your beneficiaries.
Absolutely.
Or for your spouse. And so, like you're mentioning, there's so many other considerations here than just the investments. And if people aren't working with this team, whose responsibility is it to communicate all this detail between the professionals that are engaged in someone helping them in their retirement?
Well, sure. Maybe Stephanie has a CPA, and maybe Stephanie has a financial advisor already. But are those two talking together? Are they bringing in a Medicare professional that can guide them down the correct path as to not trigger IRMA? People are out there. What's IRMA?
Or income-related monthly adjustment amount. That's that. I don't know. I guess I'll call it a tax, but it's where they adjust your premiums They call it an adjustment. So technical. So
It
polite of
sounds
them.
less harsh.
Oh, it does. It's softer. They must have focus grouped that term. It's not call it a tax. Let's call it an adjustment. But you have this adjustment that goes in there. But it's a tax because if your income goes over a certain amount, they charge you more for your Part B and your D. And I always will ask the question: is that your Medicare person's job to remind you of those income numbers every year? Is it your financial advisor's job to make sure you don't take withdrawals that go over that amount every year? Or is your tax person's job to make sure during your tax planning appointment that you don't go over those numbers? You know what my answer is? The answer is it's all three of them.
All of the above.
But if they're not talking together, do you know whose responsibility it is to relay that information to all those people?
It's the potential. It's the client. It's
the
Stephanie's.
retiree. Yeah, it's the Stephanie. It's exactly right, Stephanie B. So if you're out there, Stephanie, and if you want to come in and go through this process with us to figure out what the best way to invest for your unique situation is, reach out and give us a call at 833-MAG-REPORT, or that's 833, the letters MAG for Market Advisory Group Report. That's our retirement evaluation process, other risks and taxes, where we go through an in-depth analysis of your current situation to figure out where your risks are in retirement. But oftentimes people just need that 15-minute phone call, and we'd love to schedule that with you today at 833-MAG-REPORT, or again, 833, the letters MAG, report. That's the phone number. Or you can go over to the website, retirehour.com or marketadvisorgroup.com. Well, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more right after this.
Are your healthcare prices going to change? Market Medicare Advisors can help you review any changes to your plan. We are determined to help make your Medicare as simple and understandable as possible. And you can schedule an appointment with one of us to review any changes or if there's a better plan out there for you. Call Market Medicare Advisors at 844-4MEDI-HELP. That's 844-4MEDI-HELP. Or visit marketmedicareadvisors.com.
Back with more with this all listener question episode of Retire Hour. And again, we've collected these questions, meeting you guys out there, and we appreciate you guys coming up and saying hi to us at the home shows there in Wichita and Kansas City. We'll be at more shows there in the area. We're doing that as just an effort to get out there and say hi to you guys, our listeners. Thank you guys. We normally give like an umbrella or a coffee cup or a mug or
some mag swag.
Some mag swag. And we're out there giving it away. So if they fill out these questions or they go to the website and submit the question, or we've even had some questions submitted by phone with AnswerLink. That's, again, thanks to you. But we've got Rick Everett here still with us, an advisor with Market Advisor Group Wichita, and also the host of Eye on Retirement. We're here to keep an eye on retirement. Never miss an episode. This listener question comes from Marla. Marla E. Okay, interesting. Why is the government not keeping Social Security income up with inflation? ? You want to take a stab at that first?
Why isn't the government ensuring the solvency of Social Security, Marla?
Okay, well, and that's all the time we have for Retire Hour this week. We'll be back. No, they use the cost of living adjustment, the COLA. They tie that to, they exclude a lot of things that they say are what? Very volatile. So food, energy, shelter, those things are excluded, right, from that inflation rating or something like that. And those are just the most basic necessity needs someone needs in life, but they will never keep Social Security up with inflation, long story short, because it's just a math problem.
And I was just going there. I was just going to go there. Marla, it's the government has a math problem, and
one.
They have a handful of math problems.
The government can't do math. This is what the problem is.
And everybody, the general consensus was if this person got in office, then things were going to be so different. And it doesn't matter who gets into office or who got into office, as we're speaking in past tense now, the problems are still there. And So for the government to effectively pace with inflation, how is that money going to be generated to create higher COLAs or cost of living adjustments? Through increased taxes. That's always been our fix all for everything.
Yeah, and Marla, I'd encourage you to go out there and watch one of my my taxes class, taxes and retirement on the website, and then also the Social Security class. There's two funding mechanisms to Social Security. There's the payroll tax that we as people that are working, employed, pay into Social Security. And then the second funding mechanism for Social Security is people in retirement that are already on Social Security. The taxes they get taxed on that Social Security.
So it may not be a good idea, as somebody said in a campaign speech, I'm going to eliminate the tax on Social Security.
If they do, I mean, I say good. I don't want to argue if it's a good idea or not. I mean, whoa, you're putting on your old interview.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. That's fine. You can put me in the hot seat. I don't want to argue if it's a good idea or not a good idea. It roughly around $50 billion a year shortfall if they eliminate the taxes on Social Security, which will be an amazing benefit for retirees out there. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to create an day one shortfall of $50 billion a year going into Social Security. The payroll tax is a little over $1 trillion a year going into Social Security, but as there's more people going to be collecting Social Security than will be paying in, you can't just tax the people that are paying into Social Security. It's going to be, in my opinion, the math problem, you have to actually expand the tax on Social Security to keep it solvent. And I think they're already doing this when you look at Medicare, the Part B, the IRMA, like you mentioned earlier.
Right.
That's how, I mean, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on here for a second, and I say that tongue in cheek, but the IRMA is what they're already doing for people with high enough income. They're penalizing, they're charging them more for their Medicare.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
In a nutshell, very simply put. We try and make sure when we're doing tax planning that we don't push people over IRMA intentionally, or if we do intentionally, we plan for it. But it's a hidden tax in my opinion, but it's helping pay for all this stuff. And with Social Security, when they go to reform it, if we're talking out here in Marla, if you're saying, why will the government not keep up Social Security income with inflation? It's like you were alluding to, Rick, it's a math problem. And if they're going to reduce taxes on Social Security and they eliminate that, it's a big problem, like I said earlier.
Where does the money come from?
Where does the shortfall come from? And I think we're already seeing the handwriting on the wall. If you go look, there's books out there. Joshua talks about it on his new show, Terrors, Tacos, and Taxes, or whatever it is. How to reduce the deficit, and they want to reduce Social Security benefits for high income earners, and they're already doing that with Medicare with this IRMA. They're
doing it in a backdoor way,
and really they are. So you could argue that taxes could be lower for 4 years, but really Social Security is going to run out. They really should fix Social Security as soon as possible, but Social Security has enough money to get into the next administration.
2034, I think, is the latest prognostication.
So that's not going to be this next administration. So if you're saying, hey, and the first time they had to fix Social Security, Ronald Reagan was president, Tip O'Neill was Speaker of the House. They didn't get in a hurry back then. They waited until like Social Security was within months of going tits up, bankrupt, whatever. And then so they create the taxes that are the current system now. Again, that pays money into Social Security to help prop it up. They change some of the retirement ages. They're going to do all those things. But I'm telling you, Marla, the government will never keep Social Security up with inflation because it's not designed to be that way. And truthfully, like Rick said, I don't know how they're going to not tax Social Security, but we're going to stay tuned. And when they figure it out or when they pass the rules, who's going to be giving the tax advice? Rick. Not you.
No. I heard it said in a conference room just within the last week of removing the tax on Social Security, we might as well walk it around behind the barn and put a bullet in its head. because it's going to move the insolvency date up.
Oh, much.
So pacing with inflation, keeping it alive, two major concerns.
Two big concerns there. And guys, if you don't have people that are helping you, and I think the two biggest risks you have as retirees over the next 10 years are taxes and inflation. And if you don't have a team that's helping you navigate those things, reach out and have a 15-minute phone call with us just to see if you could benefit from going through our full-blown MAG report process. And you can schedule that 15-minute phone call by calling 833-MAG-REPORT, or that's 833, the letters MAG, report. Or you can go over to our website at Ion Retirement.
Thank you very much.
That's your website.
Thank you very much.
Or retirehour.com. I guess either one.
Yeah.
But we appreciate Rick coming in this week and taking some listener questions.
Yeah, it's always fun to interact with folks. So, and if you want to send a question our way, you can do it on the website, or you can come to one of our classes as well.
That's right.
Walk away with some MAG swag.
And don't forget to check out Rick's show, Eye on Retirement. Retire Hour will be right back with this week's listener question episode with Corey Hebert from Market Medicare Advisors. Stay tuned.
Do you find yourself at a loss for the complexities of retirement? Do topics like phantom income, required minimum distribution, and Medicaid spend down utterly confuse you? Market Advisory Group has free webinars for you to watch, including finances and investing, taxes, estate planning, Medicare, and more. Go to marketadvisorygroup.com to kickstart your retirement education. Market Advisory Group, invested in you.
Financial advisory services offered through Foundations Investment Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor, not connected with or endorsed by the U.S. government or the federal Medicare program.
Welcome back into Retire Hour, the weekly show that helps you stay up to date on the ever-changing landscape of retirement. And ever-changing landscape, Corey Hebert and I were just talking about the new director of Medicare. CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Looks like it could be Dr. Oz.
It doesn't look like it is.
Well, got to be Senate confirmation.
Well, yeah, it's coming. You're right. We don't speak in absolutes here, but
I don't think I can measure your attitude with that whole pick. But anyways, we're going to go into the listener question segment here, and we've got a question from Wanda P. Oh, Wanda, that was my grandma's name. Wanda asks, can you use a Medicare plan with TRICARE for life? And that is a really great question. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question, Matt. Because
what is TRICARE for life? For people that don't know, let's make sure we set that. I saw you jumping there.
So with TRICARE beneficiaries, there's a letter that comes, and Matt, it's a terrifying letter. I remember the first time that I ever saw this letter. You'll get this letter right at about 64 and a half if you're a TRICARE beneficiary. You are about to be no longer eligible for TRICARE.
Huh?
You move from TRICARE to TRICARE for life. You still have those TRICARE benefits. The way that they're administered does change. For people that say, I've had TRICARE my entire life, I don't want to mess with TRICARE. TRICARE for life, all it does is it turns TRICARE into a secondary payer behind your Medicare benefits. And the first qualification for TRICARE for life is that you have Medicare Part A and Part B. So, Matt, this is not an uncommon question that I have come through my office. Corey, I have TRICARE and I've always used just the VA. Do I really need to be paying for Medicare? And the answer is absolutely. The VA is absolutely fantastic. I come from a long line of military servicemen and women, and they all use the VA for quite a bit of their care. The problem is that there's going to come a day where the doctor in the VA walks out and says, this is not something that we can handle here at the VA, and you need to go outside of the VA for this care. And that's where you could find yourself in a little bit of trouble. So step one is absolutely, we need to get enrolled into Medicare A and B if you are broaching on the age of 65.
And so there are actually, though, kind of neat benefits with people that are out there on TRICARE that you can actually talk to them with specifics to their Medicare, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So just last week, I was talking with a couple. It was some of Danny's clients actually. They came down my hallway and they just had this general question of, "Hey Corey, we've had TRICARE for life to go with our Medicare, and we've been operating this way for over 5 years. Are we missing anything? Because all of our bills are paid, everything's taken care of. The VA pharmacy is fantastic. If you guys have, if anybody listening has TRICARE and you're not currently using the VA pharmacy, can't encourage that one enough.
In the Wichita area, for sure.
In the Wichita and Kansas City areas,
In Kansas
for
City,
sure.
okay.
Both of them, absolutely.
I hadn't heard about the Kansas City one, but that's great to hear.
But what are we missing? Like, everything seems to be working well. What can we be doing anything better? And the answer is absolutely. And I've done this with several different people. This is not the first time I've had this happen. But in addition to your TRICARE and your Medicare, we see it all the time on commercials. I joke about the gal who throws her arms up in the air on TV and says, I checked my zip code and I got money back on Social Security.
You do that really well.
Oh, I've only said it a time or two. But the funny thing about that is those benefits are real, but they're not intended for the general public or the general user of Medicare. Those benefits are intended for veterans with TRICARE for life, because what we're talking about in that case is we're talking about a Medicare Advantage plan.
Well, there are a lot of people that don't like a Medicare Advantage plan. Is there any downside to going on this if they have TRICARE for life?
There really isn't, Matt, because here's the difference. Some things that people don't like about Medicare Advantage plans. Let's just wear them out there. Number one is going to be networks of doctors.
Okay.
Now, these networks are not small networks that we're talking about. If you asked me about Medicare Advantage networks 10, 15 years ago, sure, those networks might not have been fully flushed out.
But back to the TRICARE for life person, they don't care about networks.
They don't care about networks on these Advantage plans because
So that doesn't matter.
we look for a PPO option that's going to give them the ability to go in or out of network. Now, the other thing that people may not like about Advantage plans is the fact that there are going to be co-payments involved.
Well, again, are they going to
Whenever you have Medicare and TRICARE for life, TRICARE picks up the gaps that Medicare doesn't cover. Whenever you replace that Medicare with a Medicare Advantage plan, those co-payments that Advantage plan would give you are also going to be picked up by TRICARE for life.
So again, then there's not really.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing a reason why you wouldn't want them to go on this.
here's the situation that I run into in my office. I have something, it's been working well. Why mess with a good thing?
I said that earlier. I said I hate change. I don't want to do change. We don't do change.
But here's what people don't realize that they're missing out on. Is one, from a benefits standpoint, everything's going to operate exactly the same as it has been. But two, Matt, the Part B premium, it keeps going up. It is up over $50 from whenever I started in this Medicare industry per month. These Medicare Advantage plans will give back on that Part B premium and quite seriously put money back onto your Social Security check in terms of dental, vision, hearing, over-the-counter money, free gym memberships. These are all benefits that can be included in these plans.
And I know the plans are going to range based on where they live in, right?
Absolutely. It's all going to be zip code related as to what that give back's going to be.
Or if they even is there some instances where they don't get a give back at all? Or I'm sure there could be.
I'm sure there could be. Again, I can't speak in absolutes because I haven't checked every single zip code in the United States.
And just if you did, they could change. So, I mean, that. So this is something that you need really help walking through. If you do, even if you have TRICARE for life, and this is something as a financial advisor that I find beneficial. And again, one more reason why we work together as this team. I know enough to say, hey, oh, you're on TRICARE for life. You need to go talk to Corey, Mark, Trey, Stephanie, Taylor, whoever, and Kim and get answers to what could be going on for your situation. But then they start asking me questions, and I'm like, let me see if I can pull someone in the room. And if I can't, because you're right now in the middle of annual enrollment, which is kind of your availability is a little sparse. But if we can't pull you in there, then we get them an appointment with you guys, and we can point them in the right direction. And if people don't have that team, just like people that are on TRICARE for life could be missing out on benefits if they don't have an Advantage plan that's really all advantage to them, it seems like.
And the only complaint that I have ever got from a TRICARE for Life beneficiary that I've added that Advantage plan to is the fact that, and I own this, Matt, I didn't do what I needed to get in front of them earlier to let them know that these benefits were out there. And then they look back and they say, what was I doing for the past 3 to 4 years?
Now, can they sign up anytime throughout the year, or is this the time of year when they have to sign up for this plan?
This is the time of year to do it. If we do miss this window, I mean, it's back next year, but that's a whole nother year that you're going to go without that
any of
money
those
back.
benefits. And if you're on TRICARE for Life out there, guys, and you're listening, and you want someone to walk you through these things, reach out, and you can either schedule a 15-minute phone call by calling 833-MAG-REPORT, or that's 833, the letters MAG for Market Advisory Group Report. Or you can schedule an in-person consultation with any member of the healthcare team by calling 833-MAG-REPORT in any of our offices across Kansas City or Wichita. Well, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more with Alex right after this.
Managing assets, documents, or crucial decisions for yourself or a family member is no simple task. Estate planning is your legacy, and nobody knows this better than Eidelman Law Firm. In estate planning, meeting with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor helps you prepare for your life and legacy. When you put together an estate plan, you will be prepared for the present and future. This should not be delayed. Call 1-800-4ESTATE or visit us online at eidelmanlawfirm.com. Eidelman Law Firm. Live for today, plan for tomorrow.
Welcome back into Retire Hour, the weekly show that helps you stay up to date on the ever-changing landscape of retirement. And I'm a financial advisor, guys. You know that, whether you're maybe a long-time listener, maybe a first-time listener. But as a financial advisor, as I help people with their retirement, I mean retirement. I don't mean just the investments. And if you're working with someone that can just talk to you about the investments, you're just probably not really getting all the things addressed in your circumstances that you probably need to be doing. And what do I mean by that? Well, tax planning is a big one. If you're not getting tax planning, if your financial advisor is not meeting with your tax planner this time of year, you need to be doing that. If you're not getting your health care reviewed this time of the year for annual enrollment, whether you're on Medicare or you're on the marketplace, you need to be having your health care reviewed this time of year. It's the time of year to do it, guys. And if your financial advisor isn't working with an estate planning attorney to make sure they can get your estate planning questions answered and make sure you have an estate plan in place to cover your situation, you need to be, guys. Don't put that off. You never know when the good Lord's going to call you home. We do not know when our last day on this earth will be. So you need to make sure you're prepared. But this all listener question episode this week, we've got Alex on here, and this is your radio debut. I did not know that. Welcome onto the program, Alex.
I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Hey, you bet. Alex is another attorney of ours in the Eidelman Law Firm. And this listener question comes from Grace. Grace says, can I make it so my house is paid off if I die? Interesting question.
Yeah, it's interesting because the short answer is yes.
But then the long answer is?
The long answer is it depends. If you are looking to...
Spoken like a true attorney.
Yes,
Congratulations,
absolutely.
Alex, with
Thank
your radio
you.
debid.
Yes,
Very good.
I said it depends within 30 seconds.
You did. That's all the
think I
time
win
we
a
have on
prize.
Retire Hour. Join us next week. No, I'm kidding. So what depends in this answer?
Well, it depends on what she wants to do. If she's just wanting to pay off her home, then really there's not a reason to do that if you're looking to then sell the home and distribute the assets to the kids, because you're going to be getting the same net equity out of it, whether it's paid off or you're just using what you have in there. If she's wanting to do something like pay off the home and then allow one of her kids to live in it rent-free for their lifetime, then you need to have a trust set up for that. That's something where she can then say to the trustee in the trust itself, hey, trustee, pay off this, then allow my son or my daughter to come and live in this for their lifetime. And then when they pass, then you sell it and distribute the proceeds to my grandkids.
Well, and I think this is, I think you've uncovered an excellent point here that you weren't maybe even meaning to make, which is kudos to you. This is something a software really can't help you discern.
Right.
When you're using those online tools or a kit, do-it-yourself kit, when you have questions like this, you don't know the proper way to execute it. And really, the better benefit here is you touched on earlier, you need to really get at the root of what is the motive of what she's trying to do here.
Right.
And then you can help find the right process or tool to get her there. And that's what these online little do-it-yourself stuff, it's just, what are your assets?
Yeah,
Who do
those
you
are
want it to
fill
get?
in the blank generators,
Yeah.
right? And
I mean,
so
I used to play those games. You remember those tablets where it'd be the crazy word, do the noun, do the
Like
verb.
Mad Libs.
Yeah, the Mad
Yeah.
Libs. Yes, those things. Do you really want to do your estate planning like you do Mad Libs?
yeah, I mean, what it comes down to is, I don't know if you've seen where they bust someone who pretends that they know sign language and then they're interpreting for someone, and then someone who actually knows sign language is like, hey, wait a second, they're just making things up.
Oh, wow.
If you're not an expert in that area, you don't know if you're making mistakes. You're just filling out, the forms, you're just doing things that you think are right. You have no idea if it's going to actually work the way you want it to. And so you really need an expert to come in and say, what is it you want to do? Now we'll implement that plan for you.
So unless we get at the root of Grace's pain here, as we kind of call it in our office, we're trying to diagnose people's financial retirement pain. How can, she's asking, can I make it so the house is paid off if I die? Maybe the better question for Grace would be tell us more about that situation. Do you want a family member, like you said, to live there after they die, and the house be protected? And there's other things than you just want to just say, hey, I gave you a paid off house.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that's a great benefit for some kids, and for others, it's not going to be what they want. Maybe they already have a house of their own. Maybe, they're not wanting to move to this house because they're somewhere else. Maybe they can't handle the taxes that come with that house. And so all of these things are areas that we need to consider when we're looking at what someone wants to do with their assets.
Maybe you get into a conversation. I have no idea how I'm going down this rabbit hole, but forgive me, Grace, I'm going to take some artist liberties here. Maybe Grace has a situation where she wants her son to have the house when she passes away, and she wants him to receive it free and clear. But she has an IRA, but then she wants the IRA to pay off the house. You could do that with a trust.
Right. I mean, the issue becomes you have to have the assets in the trust to be able to do that. So if you say in the trust, hey, pay off the house, but the house isn't in the trust because you sold the house that we put in the trust to begin with, and you didn't remember to get the new one titled in the name of the trust, or you don't have the IRA as the contingent beneficiary being the trust. Now we don't have the assets that are there to take care of it. So even if you create a trust online, you might not have the assets that are in the trust.
Might not have it all pieced together.
Right.
I talk about in the estate planning class. I haven't had a chance to show you the estate planning class yet, but in my class, we're talking about those things. You don't necessarily, you're not necessarily in control of all that.
Right.
And you have to plan for the unexpected. And with Grace here, I'm sorry again, Grace, what if she gave it to her son, but her son was married, and then the son's spouse decides to divorce him?
Right.
He could lose the house potentially as a marital asset in a divorce. What if he's married to someone that's not good with money, and she wants to spend it all? There's so many what ifs here that the trust helps better take care of. But really, the bigger problem here is we don't know what's going on in Grace's situation.
Right. And so 2 points there. The first is, what I hear a lot of times is people say, I just want to keep it simple. And I understand that natural inclination. The problem is that keeping it simple means you don't know what's going to happen, and it's inflexible. So if you keep things simple and say, you're going to get this, and you're going to get this, and you're going to get this, that doesn't account for how life happens.
True. You cannot truly protect your loved ones that way, where you're just giving it to them. It feels cleaner, but oftentimes it opens it up to be messier down the road for sure. And guys, If you don't know what plan is right for you, and you want to have a 15-minute phone call with this team just to see if you could benefit from having a one-on-one visit or an online visit with us, reach out at 833-MAG-REPORT, or that's 833, the letters MAG for Market Advisory Group Report. We'd love to, again, have that 15-minute phone call with you wherever you're at, whether it's at work, on your break, wherever you're at in your afternoon, enjoying your day. Maybe you're already retired, or again, maybe you're just taking a break from work and you need to get that question answered. We'd love to have that 15-minute chat with you by phone, and you can do that by calling that number, 833-MAG-REPORT. Well, stay tuned. We'll be back with Lauren Dietz from Market Tax Services answering Cindy's question. Stay tuned.
Market Tax Services knows retirement is the promise you have spent your working career to fulfill. But are those savings in danger from unexpected taxes? That's where the team at Market Tax Services comes into play. We meet and help people just like you every day. The best part? Our team of in-house CPAs and tax professionals not only assist with tax savings, but tax planning as well. Call Market Tax Services at 833-2-TAX-PLAN or visit markettaxservices.com.
Welcome back into Retire Hour, the weekly show that helps you stay up to date on the ever-changing landscape that is retirement. You can hear me giggling. Lauren Dietz is in here, and she just cracking funnies before we're going on the radio. This is not, what is it, tacos, taxes, and terror?
Yeah.
Taxes, and tacos.
Taxes
and tacos.
Yeah.
You and
Taxes and
Joshua's
tacos.
show where you guys, this is a great show. I can't wait till you guys start producing more of those episodes. Our listeners out there, you guys will have to go online and check out Lauren and Joshua's extra bonus show where you talk about the deficit reduction books, and then you also go to a local taqueria and sample their tacos.
Yeah. I mean, what's not to love?
I think you ought to throw like tequila in there. Tequila, taxes, and tacos.
Listen, if tequila is supported for this show, I am 100% down with that.
So we've got Cindy's listener question here, and your answer was kind of funny. I don't. You can give it. We're not making fun of Cindy by any means. It's just how we have to laugh at taxes, right?
Right.
What is the best way to minimize taxes when drawing from IRAs? Cindy T. And Lauren's response was,
Well, my first response was don't. But unfortunately, Uncle Sam is going to make you have to take that out someday.
so your advice to Cindy is don't take it out, and then you won't be taxed on it.
Right. But unfortunately, you will have to take that out at some point.
I mean, I was going to say, eventually someone has to pay the taxes on this
Right.
money.
Yeah.
And whether it's you over your lifetime, if you're married, when you pass away, you normally leave it to your spouse, right?
Right.
And so then they're in a higher tax bracket faster. That sounds like a good thing, but it's not.
It's not.
So they're paying taxes faster on it. But then when you leave it to your kids
Then
or your
they-
beneficiaries, they're paying taxes on it.
And then they only have 10 years to take all of it out.
And so when you say don't take it out because it won't cost you taxes if you don't take it out, that's what I think a lot of people get like lullabied, rocked to sleep through, because they're putting money in retirement. They're getting a tax deduction. Cool. Their employer's giving them a match. Hey, we're getting that free money. Hey,
Right.
this is awesome. I'm getting a tax deduction. I'm getting free money. I don't owe anything on it as it's growing. But one day then you do have tax consequences when it comes time to taking this money out.
Right, absolutely. So there's a couple of different ways that you can look into trying to mitigate taxes when you do have to start taking money out of your IRA, or you're needing to take money out of your IRA before you're forced to. One of the biggest things that we do here, we like to work with the financial advisor, with our certified tax professionals together, and talk about, is a Roth conversion a good way to help take care of this tax burden? Which a Roth conversion is basically you're just taking money out of your traditional IRA, you're paying the tax on it now, hopefully at a lower bracket or lower tax rate, and then moving it into a Roth IRA where it can continue to grow tax-free. And then when you take it out, you don't have to pay taxes on it. It doesn't affect your Social Security. It doesn't affect your Medicare premiums. And your beneficiaries don't have to pay the tax on it either.
Now, you and I were doing tax planning.
A lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, that's probably a bad way to even start that. In one of our tax planning appointments the other day, is probably the better way to say that, you and I found an instance where someone had $9,000 left in their 12% tax bracket, and this was going to be one of these things we would do. We'd take $9,000 out of the taxable side, use the dollars left in their 12% tax bracket
Right.
to do the Roth conversion and make that tax-free dollars. But here's the deal. You, because you're an awesome tax advisor, caught that if we did that $9,000 Roth conversion, it was going to cost them the tax credit on the property tax
Right. So in the state of Kansas, depending on your income level, there's a couple different tax credits that you can receive if you are over the age of 65 or you're a disabled veteran. One of them is a pretty new one that's just been out for the last couple of years, but it's actually, for a lot of people, the most beneficial tax credit.
Yeah.
And basically it keeps you from having to pay any increases in your property taxes. You have to pay it up front, but then you get it refunded back. And in this person's case, their property taxes had skyrocketed, and it was going to save them $2,000.
Yeah, $2,189 or something like that.
Right.
Something was $2,100.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So we didn't do the Roth conversion.
No, we decided not to do that. So
But
that
had
they
I
could
just
get
been a
that.
stupid financial advisor that couldn't give tax advice, and I'm saying that genuinely, I'm silly. I would have just said, hey, that $9,000 Roth conversion, that's great. But you knew about the Kansas property tax credit here, and it saved them $2,000 in taxes.
Yeah,
That's worth going through tax planning.
absolutely.
Because if I didn't have the tax advisor in the same room as the financial advisor, what could we have missed, guys? I could have cost them $2,000 thinking I was doing something right for them as a Roth conversion, but it would have been a terribly wrong thing to do. And if you're not getting tax planning, these are the kinds of things I'm saying you're missing out on. And the time of the year is right now, guys. You're running out of time. You need to be getting tax planning. And if you want to talk about what that could be for your situation, reach out and give us a call at 833-MAG-REPORT. Or that's phone numbers, again, 833, the letters MAG for Market Advisory Group, report. We want to make sure we can try and squeeze you in before the end of the year, but you have to hurry, guys. Our calendar is like swamped.
It is.
And you really need to make sure you're getting financial advice and tax planning before the end of the year. Well, that's all the time we have for Retire Hour. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week here, right back here on Retire Hour.
Unless otherwise indicated, all client names have been changed to protect their identities.
Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns are not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. Legal services are offered by Edelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not in any way refer to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing insurance company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. The guest commentators featured in this show are not investment advisor representatives of Foundations and do not provide advisory services. Market Advisory Group does have several investment advisor representatives that can provide such services. This is not endorsed or affiliated with any U.S. government agency, the Social Security Administration, or associated with any federal Medicare program. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. A Roth conversion may not be suitable for your situation. The primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. The information provided is to help you determine whether or not a Roth IRA conversion may be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Please review your retirement savings, tax, and legacy planning strategies with your legal/tax advisor to be sure a Roth IRA conversion fits into your planning strategies. All rights reserved.